Hello, I'm FX Toycat and welcome back to QnA Saturday. This is the Willy series where I answer your questions which have been asked over the past week or so across the various comments of my channel. And this is a series we used to do every single week, where every week I would respond to the comments from the previous Q&A and use them for the next Q&A so I can respond to those comments over and over and over again. And it was a super fun series, but the biggest flaw with a QnA Saturday that ran every single week is that a lot of you aren't very good at asking questions. Or to be more accurate, the YouTube comment section isn't the perfect place for good comments to come across. Loads of people were able to type a comment down there, but most of these comments weren't questions, and the ones that were questions weren't particularly compelling. They're just what, you know, like someone was put on the spot and they asked a question. What you need for a good set of comments is you need some form of independent thought and reason to make a good comment, and you don't find that too much on YouTube, which is why all of today's questions are going to be coming on from someone that I trust a little better to leave good questions, starting with this first one, which comes in from this nice handsome fella up here, who says, "How are you doing today?" Wow, good question, good way to start conversation. I'm doing great today. See, look, now we have a good rapport. You know how I'm doing, I know how you're doing. We're both doing wonderfully, and I'm glad to hear that. But also, what was the last meal that you ate is another good question from this person right here. And, you know, this is one that leaves room for answer, because I actually just had a bunch of random things in my freezer. I have a lot of things in there that's like, wait, I can just eat food that I have frozen away in a box, and it costs me nothing. So I've been eating a bunch of like, I've got like some chicken, some cod balls, some veggie balls, and I've just been buying loads of sauces, and I've just been having the best time dipping foods in sauces. Like, honestly, this is my real pro tip. Any hand food that requires no fork and knife, slightly better than if you need a fork and knife. Any food that can be dipped in 5 sauces, that means it comes in 5 flavors. So I've just been making like crazy sauce nonsense, and I've been really liking it. See, good question right there. I could expand on something about my life if I wanted to. I could talk about the last good fast food experience I had at Tim Hortons. I can talk about anything I want to with that one, because it's an open-ended question, whereas what is your favorite food? Not so good a question. But anyway, let's move on to the next question, which comes in from, I can't pronounce this name right here, but it is there a drink you recommend to us all, Toycat? And that's a very good question. Wish I could think of some drink that I recommend. A drink for all the people. You know, it's just too hard of a question to answer. I don't think I drink many drinks that aren't water, if I'm being entirely honest with you. Yeah, it's mostly just water from my trusty water container right here. Because I really do believe that most people underhydrate. I think people are drinking way less water than they probably should or need to. And it's like, you know, there's some very basic things that are just widely missed. I'd say, you know, like negative cycles of behavior are one of the more common ones. But like, you know, like for instance, not sleeping well enough and then going, you know, spending the whole day tired until you get to bedtime and then being, you know, deciding not to, but then being tired. Like infinite loops of tiredness is a common one. Eating too much and not feeling good about it. But also not drinking enough water. They're like 3 really basic human functions that we just haven't been very good at dealing with. And that's why I'd say I recommend water to everyone. Even if you don't like water, just treat it as a chore that you do 3 times a day. Like, oh yeah, it's water chugging time. Because, you know, even though I love water, sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm not drinking enough naturally, so I start chugging it. So let's move to the next question, which comes in from IBX Toycat, who says, do you fear that humanity is actually more of a virus than a civilization? What if it's more of a, you know, a plague than of a species that actually only leaves behind death and destruction to the things around us that aren't inherently us, and even to a large proportion of ourselves? Do you fear that humanity is just another type of virus? And you know, that's a very good question, IBX Toycat, because you know what, the real deal here is that is to some extent true. One of the things humanity is very good at is spreading itself at the cost of things around it. You know, and although that is definitely a truth that, yeah, it's very sad. And you know what, we're gonna move to the next question, which comes in from this IBX Toycat fellow, who's very intelligent, it seems. Where are you traveling soon? Thank you for asking. So I've actually got like a couple of travel plans. One is I'm heading to America for a couple of weeks in February. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I've got a whole thing planned out. I'm looking forward to trying to visit a new state every time I go to America. This time is no exception. I think it's gonna be like one of the weird states like Idaho, like the tricky ones to get to, that I'm gonna tick off the list this time. So that's gonna be kind of fun. And yeah, so that's where I'm traveling next. That's big. And then I might go to like Gibraltar between now and then, which is technically a part of the UK, but also sort of not. Again, when it comes to old countries, there's a lot of the weird technical areas. Gibraltar's like a bit of the UK that exists off the coast of Spain, where the people there are like, again, they're British and they use like a different currency to both Spain and the UK. And also, I don't think there's like immigration required to get there, but also it's its whole different area. Also, the runway is on the border to the whole thing, and also it's just a giant rock. But it's a rock that people want very badly, and that is technically a part of the UK. And to me, it'd be I kind of want to go somewhere weird like that, because there's just so many formalities I don't know what it's like. Like, what is it like to go to a part of the UK that it is very much not the UK, but also belongs to the UK, and also the people there think they belong to the UK. Like, I want to know where it fits on the spectrum, and one of the easiest ways to understand a place is to go there, in my opinion. You know, I feel like Hong Kong's a lot better understood inside of Hong Kong, same with Taiwan, and I'm going to see what the UK's Taiwan is kind of like, or the UK's Hong Kong maybe is a better example, in the case of Gibraltar. Also, I guess the UK's Hong Kong would really be Hong Kong. But anyway, with that said, we're going to move into the next question here, which comes in from IBX Toycat, who says, do you fear everything in your life is slowly crumbling all the time, despite all the positive signs and attempts you make to counter it? And you know, this is something I do have in the back of my mind all the time. I actually do always fear that everything is crumbling, because the truth is, on YouTube, you are at the mercy of an incredibly finicky algorithm. There isn't anything to do with a person. There's no judgment involved in whether you see my video or you see any of my videos ever again. You know, that could be decided by an algorithm one day, and it's all going to be gone. On top of that, even if the videos that I make do get to the people who I hope do see them, on top of that, it all comes down to like, oh yeah, there's ad rate magic and this and that, and then there's a lot of steps between when the revenue is generated and when it gets to me. The only real like consistent things that make me feel good and like there's something really happening here are live streams, because there's pretty much instant access between when the money goes through and where it is actually stored. So yeah, do I feel everything's crumbling? All the time, every time, and you know, it's absolutely terrifying, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I love YouTube so much, and I'm willing to take that as a way to do my dream thing and talk about things that I love on the internet for people like you to listen to. Anyway though, let's move to the next question, which is actually related. Wow, good job, this Toycat guy, actually asking relevant questions and not just random things that are of interest to no one but himself. They ask, is there a video that you think should have got more attention? And actually, this is really weird. I feel like the videos that do the best sometimes are ones where I'm like, yeah, I kind of knew that, and sometimes it's entirely unrelated. Like, for instance, loads of my videos of live streams from like 2015 where I did super flat challenges have been doing really well again. Some of my random live streams, like my failed attempt at a world record, were my most viewed videos over the last month, and it's like, I don't understand how that happens, but sure, YouTube, if that's what you want to do. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of weird, if nothing else. But on the other end of things, I definitely feel like there are videos on the channel that get less views than I would like if I was in charge of YouTube. I would say it was kind of weird that when I spoke about the Xbox One X, the video got like super under-attended compared to other news videos. I'd say the news videos as a whole have kind of gone into a whole separate category where, like, because they're shorter than normal, YouTube kind of doesn't recommend them so much, and that's kind of sad. Also, my videos where I bet $1,000, in my head, a part of me was like, oh yeah, people at least enjoy seeing that. It turns out people enjoyed seeing videos where I didn't make a huge bet more than the ones where I did. I thought it was a fun, goofy challenge to continuously reference, but again, the algorithm does not like, even though I thought it was fun, even though some people who watched it thought it was fun, it didn't appeal to a very wide audience, which is something that you have to do on YouTube continuously to meet your own audience's expectations. So yeah, I guess I kind of learned a couple of things on that, but if you want to see some videos you statistically didn't see if you watched this one, I bet $1,000 on a Minecraft update, and that went horribly wrong. And also, I made a few news videos last month that I guess wouldn't be relevant anymore. But yeah, news videos, I don't know why I continue to make them sometimes, because they seem to do very, very, they're very time sensitive, and if they don't do well in that time sensitive period, it's just kind of gone after that. Whereas if we look back to, I don't know, my video from, let's find a fun one, like a 14-hour project of me in making the desert, which got, oh my god, it got 42,000 views. Okay, wait, actually, just now, I've discovered the video that I think got the less attention that it deserved was me making a whole 35-minute video of my torch desert, the making of the whole thing, and the fact that I got 40,000 views, like less than normal. It's like, man, I made a news video in, I think it was like 1 to 2 hours from start to finish, and that got like 1 million views, and then this did like 40,000. The YouTube game is a cruel mistress, but it's all based on metrics, so you try not to hate it too much. The next question here comes in from this dashing Toycat fellow, who has a wonderfully attractive profile picture, but they says, what do you do too much? And honestly, the one thing that I feel like everyone does, but people go in and out of admitting, is like checking my phone. I get like really addicted to just like the vibe of like, I don't want to do the thing that I'm meant to do right now, so I'm gonna do something that just like vaguely keeps me entertained instead. But like, I don't feel good when I'm checking on Twitter or on Insta, when I'm doing just needless things to find some content to like distract my brain. I think I'd rather be doing things that I need to be doing, whether that's like video based or editing based or whatever else it needs to be. I would rather be doing those things, but I just end up not doing so, and I don't know, it's a problem, I guess. I'm managing my time poorly as a result of that, so I spend too much time not doing a thing I need to do if I'm not sure how to do that thing. If I'm perfectly sure and I'm excited to do the thing, I'll do it. If I'm not excited or I'm worried or I'm anxious about something, I'll just spend some time being like, I think it's really important before we do this that we check the news in Syria. Oh, you hear about the situation right now? Something about testifying in government and Putin. Oh, yeah, that's important for me to know more than what I'm doing. But it's not actually. Focusing on the thing you need to do is always more important than the thing you don't need to do, even though your brain is able to convince you otherwise. So the next question comes in from IBX Toycat, who says, do you like that off the small percentage of your YouTube subscribers that YouTube does show your videos to, so many people decide to comment things like first, beans, or lol to a video you spend all day making? And this is a really great question because, yeah, when you put a lot of time into something, you're excited to see how people are going to respond to it. You're nervous about how the kind of reaction to it will be. It is a really weird thing when the response to that is a lot of people saying things. When the response to that isn't, as like well put out as your initial put into it. It kind of feels like a one-sided relationship that way. I think this is true of any social media, right? When you put a lot of effort, or any human thing, when you put a lot of effort into something and people don't give it even the most basic small courtesy, you're like, oh, that kind of stinks. And that's honestly, that kind of brings me round, these joke questions, these things I'm asking myself, kind of bring me round into like why I think the Q&A wasn't the greatest of series. YouTube comments are a downward spiraling platform. I feel like on this channel, unlike most Minecraft channels, we actually have like kind of an emphasis on like, not everyone here is a child and not everyone here is a dumb child too. I feel like that is a lot of what YouTubers want as their audience, because if you're dumb, you're going to ignore, you're going to be able to, watch more stuff, and you're going to be able to click more ads, and you're going to be more profitable in that way. And also children, because people used to think children was the biggest demographic. People kind of like that double, collection of people. But I always thought like, oh no, on this channel, we'll talk about philosophy, or we'll talk about politics, we'll talk about World War I even. Like, there's a weird mix of like educational topics on this channel and stuff like that people seem to enjoy. And I see that in the live streams and stuff, but when you see a YouTube comment section that's like, oh my god, what is this? It makes you almost like cringe that like, this is a coalition of people around you, and it kind of hurts in a way that as QnA Saturday was going on, we were seeing more and more rough comments because YouTube comments are not built for quality. To this day, the YouTube comment system just doesn't work to allow people to engage and be rewarded for good engagements and discourage people from making the garbage stuff that no one else wants to see. Even the people typing first probably don't want to see other people typing first, right? No one actually I guess some number of people might think they're first to video. Everyone should know that the fact that there's 10 first comments means that only one person was first, and no one ever goes back and looks for that comment. But yet people decide to do it every single time because there is this huge cult of, again, the YouTube comment system isn't built for, I guess, what we do here, and as a result, it doesn't reward the more interesting questions, the more useful questions for people to hear. It rewards randomness, and it's a sea of craziness because then the more people who are engaged in making it better, whether it be one of you or even it be myself, you're kind of disengaged from comments, and that's why I only read comments on newish videos. Going back and reading comments on a video that's been out for a while, you're just going to see a sea of craziness, and I'd love to make a video on this sometime. Let me know if you want to see what YouTube comments are like for a YouTuber, because to me it is a wacky thing to see. So anyway, with that said, let's move into the last question here. Do you wish people were better at asking questions? And that's obviously why I made this video. I mean, I made it because I wanted to kind of talk about the fact that I don't know if these were like a perfect set of questions. They were literally what I came up with within 5 minutes, but at least they allow me to answer in a way that allows me to say something I want to say. I think questions are something that are really hard to come up with. Questions that are going to be interesting to have answers to are ones that need to be open-ended. Obviously, when you're interviewing, like, I don't know, a politician, you're trying to trap them. When you're, asking to your friend casually, you can say super ridiculous stuff because it doesn't need to be on record, like, hey man, what's your favorite color? Like, what was your favorite, this or that? Like, superlatives are fine in casual conversation, but when you're talking about on the internet, when you're talking about people who want to be correct and want to actually give information out there, if you want to call me an educator, I don't know if that's correct, but like, when you're talking about this sort of thing, you've got to be careful about your sort of questions to actually make interesting questions with some form of new knowledge that also is going to be correct. If you ask me what my favorite block in Minecraft is, which, by the way, is the most common question everyone gets. Like, such a bad question because it's not interesting to anyone else. It's a superlative, like, no one knows their favorite off the top of their head without thinking about it. And if you're doing a live show, you don't have time to be like, I'm going to spend half an hour thinking about this and get back to you. And then the third part is it's the sort of thing where it's like, do you even care about the answer to that question? If I say it's the oak log block, are you like, I would have never guessed. I thought Toycat would be a beehive block guy, but he's oak log. Oh my god. I thought he was a black concrete guy, but he's actually into cobblestone. This is a revelation. Whereas if I tell you about that time with Emily and the broken phone and the heartbreak and the years of, you know, that might be interesting to you, or the time that I, you know, like walked home from playing, or even just like, oh yeah, there was this video that took a ridiculous amount of time to make that you didn't know about before. New information, or at least interesting information that's collected a different way, is always going to be more interesting than that. And it's hard to get people to ask good questions because I am at the mercy of YouTube's comment section, who YouTube shows the video to, and then which of those decide to comment. And if you decide to comment on YouTube, likely, you know, for some reason you're not deterred by the mess, it leads to a cycle that was slowly bringing the quality down, which is why I think we might go back to doing, you know, some form of Q&A Saturday, but I think we're going to majorly do it via the Reddits. We're going to do it via, we might do it via Twitter or something again. But as time goes on, YouTube becomes less and less effective at making good Q&A videos. You have to kind of fudge the questions. And, you know, one of the things that even like fairly early on I had to do was just ignore 90% of the questions that weren't going to be like that. And the fact that it just kept rising over time led to me to believe it wasn't a good conclusion. If you want to make Q&As better, if you want to have your questions in here as opposed to this handsome IBX Toycat fella that I've been reading these questions from, then all you have to do, of course, is you have to go to reddit.com/r/IBXToycat, hit subscribe. We'll do a Q&A on there. I don't know how often, once a month, once every, 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to be doing some form of regular Q&A, and we're going to try Reddit out as a platform because it's the only one where you can look at bad questions that you don't care about the answer to, and you can downvote them if you want. If you can look at questions where you're like, I wish I'd asked that, and you can lend your support to it with an upvote. And although there are better systems than even Reddit, I think it's a good medium ground because it also allows you to see the funny memes like, I don't know, this one right here. If you know, I actually haven't seen the one of like me and my projects and stuff, but also you can see like when YouTube attempts to, hello, my BX Toycat is never said correct by the thing. You can see a thing of like Toycat is Welsh and it's me on the Welsh flag. There's lots of fun things you can see on the Reddit too, as well as the Q&A that also function by that same system. So it's a cool opportunity to, for you to bring things to my attention. This isn't going to replace YouTube comments. YouTube comments are still going to be there. I'm still going to try to read them every now and then. You can still type things in there and there's a chance I'll see them. But it's been a realistic fact that on this channel for a while now that I don't read most comments. I don't see most comments and respond to most comments because the amount of time it takes me to do so and the value that you don't really see as a result. So I hope that that is the answer to your questions today. If it wasn't, then go to reddit.com/r/IBXToycat. We'll make a post on there, like a Q&A thing. Go upvote ones you like, go downvote things you don't like. We'll do a Q&A in a few weeks, and we'll see if we've solved the problem. But for now, I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.